I remember when my whole world went dark and my life was forever altered. I was placed in a medically induced coma and my body battled sepsis with only a 10% chance of surviving. A ventilator was my lifeline, yet the very two vital to my survival took away one of my most precious gifts, my voice. When I finally awakened, the only sounds I heard in the absence of my voice came from the beeping of machines that kept me alive. My thoughts raced as I faced the grim reality that if I did not survive this, a powerful voice that had instructed, empowered, and inspired thousands could possibly be silenced forever. I endured weeks of this deafening silence. The quietness was so boisterous, it attempted to drown out even my inner voice. Initially, I leaned into the comfort of the silence because the inability to ask questions about my prognosis, it gave me a sense of solace from the reality of my uncertain future. But then a familiar voice roared from within and spoke directly to my fear. It was the voice of my faith, and it bellowed to me that I would again rise up, speak up, and be heard. And when that invasive tube was finally removed, I proclaimed, I'll never again be silenced. My battle to survive was won, but I did not leave that battlefield unscathed. The tumultuous terrain of my new path in life would now be navigated by me as a quadruple amputee. It was not long before the turning point happened in my life, and I discovered the healing power in my words. I was requested to speak at an empowerment seminar, and I accepted. It would be the first message for me that I would share in public since my medical tragedy. We arrived at that venue early, and I was ready for my big night. The parking lot was filled, and the only spot open was the one reserved for me. The nervous butterflies in my stomach, well, they swiftly transformed into a raging volcano. My husband, well, he pushed my wheelchair down the ramp from our van straight to the front door. And suddenly I yelled, Stop! I need a moment. I glanced down at my recently amputated hands and legs, still wrapped in bandages, and questions swirled in my head so much that the fear and doubt made me dizzy. What was I thinking when I said yes to this so soon after my tragedy? Was I ready truly to face total strangers? Would my message resonate with this audience? And at this very low point in my life, could I possibly inspire anyone? I took a deep breath and I signaled to my husband I was ready to enter the building. The door swung open and I was petrified by the huge turnout. I quieted my mind for a moment and forced myself inward to the space where I knew my tenacity resided. In that moment, something shifted in my life, and I felt compelled to share my insightful words. No matter how scared I was, no matter how afraid I was, I had to do it. The microphone was placed right in front of me, and the whole room went silent. I nervously uttered my first words, and as they left my mouth, I witnessed their immediate impact on the faces of those in the crowd. I watched people sit up a little straighter and lean in as I spoke of the power we all possess to persevere and overcome. The head nods and smiles and laughter and even the tears all confirmed for me that my words indeed had value. My message heals that room one heart at a time. And I felt the fractured pieces of me, well, they were being restored with each word. My tragedy would not define me. Instead, it prepared me to step bravely into the power of my story. Each of us has a story filled with the wounds and scars of our past pains and struggles and insecurities. The seeds of fear and doubt get planted deeply and take root in our souls and insidiously render us worthless. We persistently relive incidents when something happened that made us feel less valuable or persuaded us to remain silent or complacent. Some of us have even been conditioned to shrink and mute our voices for fear that we might stir up some controversy or make someone feel uncomfortable. But there is such immense power in not only sharing our victories, but also sharing the times we've struggled and made it through. Our words can illuminate the path for others who may be fumbling in obscurity, trying to find their way. We must allow our words to be amplified and our voices to be heard and choose to stand in our power. Each time I share a message, I feel my very soul being renewed. Speaking my truth empowers me to realize my self worth. And in November, when I won Speaker Slam's 2020 title of Inspirational Speaker of the Year, well, it was indeed the confirmation I needed that I matter, that my voice matters, and that I have an impactful message that needs to be heard. On this International Women's Day, when the theme is choose to challenge, well, I choose. I choose to break through the silence and the complacency and use my bold and audacious voice to call out, to confront, to disrupt what serves to oppress and divide us. And as their campaign states, from challenge comes change. And so I raise my hand and ask you all to join me as we pledge together to choose to challenge. Thank you, everyone.